I'm going to turn it over to Sam, and he's going to lead our panel discussion.
Absolutely. Well, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And my role will truly be to facilitate what I can be, what I can, like I think can be super valuable. And as we've been talking about the role of the mentee, world of the mentor as well, I wanted to kick us off with some of the very powerful quotes that I personally love for each of these positions. I love what Bob Proctor had to say, which is a mentor, someone that sees more talents and abilities within you than you see in yourself at that given moment, but most importantly, help bring it out to you. And this is so important and so vital when you are a mentor at any capacity. And then on the other side of the equations, to me, I love what Benjamin Franklin had to say as a for basically on the mentee side, which is tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, but involve me and I will learn. So within the scope of both of these conversation, we'll have a small panel basically for you today to truly dive deeper into their experience as either a mentor, a mentee, perhaps a little bit of both, and truly make it as engaging as possible. So Eric, you're the first on my list. Could you please lead us towards perhaps some of your experience and I suppose observations in one or each of these category, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is nursing, primarily pediatric nursing, and my story finds me 10 years into this as the burned out nurse that is really prevalent in the world today. And then through a series of questions by some amazing people, I started seeing the world differently, right? And it's interesting. I've had this conversation many times, and each time I tell it, the power from behind the story is revealed more and more through different aspects. And part of this is those questions empowered me to make a choice. So the empowerment is huge because we all have this innate passion, this innate ability to be our own superheroes. We have this superpower within us. So when you're burned out in whatever capacity, whether it is burned out as a parent, as a spouse, as a employee, or as a boss, like the feelings are very similar, and you almost feel powerless. So ultimately, I found myself in a place of needing help because, like, flipping your perspective is one thing, but what do you do when you see the other side of the coin? And all of a sudden, the people that you're working with don't see that coin. So I started seeking out my own mentors, and very similar to RJ, Bob Proctor was one of my greatest mentors. But I dove head first into Wayne Dyer, Bob Proctor, Jake Ducey, Einstein. I mean, I can go on and on. And they, through me studying, I call them my intangible mentors because I haven't met them, and most of them are no longer with us. But as I'm interacting in the world, I have their energy, their presence, their teaching that they gave me at the time that I need it. It's almost like they stand up in my mind's eye table. And it's like I call it my Justice League table. Those who are into comic books and superheroes like can understand this. They taught me something so profound that I can see them standing up, and they continue to mentor me even as I gain further understanding of different aspects. And that's the key to this. It never ends. Like, it's always an ebb and flow of give and receive. So I think we're always the mentor and we're always the mentee. We're always learning and we're always sharing what we learn. Dr. Joe Dispenza states it beautifully, is in order for us to get to where we want to be from where we are now, the status quo that we speak of, we have to go from thinking to doing to being. And it's in the doing that we become whatever it is we want. And so I will end with, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And it is amazing because once we get out of our own way it's like we're able to tap into the universal power that God has given us. And so hopefully that answers the question. Yeah, I'm going to pause there.
Absolutely, absolutely, and to me, remind me of a beautiful full quote from my intangible, perhaps mentor, which is Jim Rohn, and he said something so powerful, which is, if you want more than what you have, you will need to become more than who you are. And those were beautiful words, Eric. So I really appreciate it. Bob, you're next on the list. Would you like to share some of your experience as a mentor or mentee?
Yeah, sure. Actually, Eric's last sentence there, mentioning God, was where I wanted to go with this. My experience with mentorship is really discipleship, as being a believer in Christ. And that was my experience when I accepted Christ back in 2018. I had a man come alongside me, that was part of my church, kind of took me under his wing and helped me to understand, you know, the nuance and some of the intricacies of becoming a new believer. And it was an amazing experience for me, because I'd gone to organized church activities. I'm not going to mention the where it was or what it was, but my my ex-wife decided she wanted our kids to be raised in a certain denomination. And so we did that. And I never understood what a relationship with Christ was about. And this man had just such an amazing way of helping me see the love of Jesus for us, and for his people, and for those who believe in him and accept him. It kind of vaulted me into a whole another level of wanting. You guys, Eric specifically named a bunch of folks there, Jim Rohn and a bunch of others that he had looked up to. But obviously, for me, getting to know Jesus was the ultimate, the ultimate mentor, right? Or the ultimate, what'd you call it, Eric? Intangible mentor. So getting to know him and how to do that, and the man that guided me to do that and kind of showed me the ropes of being a Christian, um, was absolutely invaluable. And now, part of what that has transpired in my life is for me to now disciple others and help them understand, Christ and what it's about. And I work with an organization called Influencers, um, that has put out some amazing, content for being able to disciple other people. I actually lead a group right now, and just kind of the amazing thing that happened this week just so happens, leading up to today, is a man I've been working for, or I'm sorry, working with for a while, and kind of working with him in a more of a coaching capacity over the last year and a half. He started telling me that, he because of the struggle that he's going through, he was really interested in getting to know Jesus better. And so I've kind of been inviting him to church, inviting him to other things, and then connected him with a friend of mine. And there's really, they connected, and it, long story short, it's transpired into this man probably coming into our group, our discipleship group that we're running next week, to kind of instead of just sticking a toe in, putting a foot in, and I think we described it today as, jumping in, diving into it completely. So it's just been a really powerful experience for me, and I really love, um, how it's all worked out in that, and again, in that mentor-mentee relationship through discipleship.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful, beautiful. It's one thing that I always loved about, and I'm a Christian myself, and I'm very open about it. And anyone that come to God in any ways that is moral, I believe, should be not only respected, but I think elevated in many fashions. But my favorite uh, verse perhaps on this is Matthew 4:19. I don't know if you know it, Bob, but it's something around the lines of, "Come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And Jesus as obviously the ultimate mentor, guiding us towards guiding his followers to a greater purpose, I think is such a beautiful imagery. So thank you so much for sharing.
Mhm.
Next on my list is Darren. Got anything to share as a mentor or mentee?
Yeah, growing up, I thought that being a man was simple and work. I was supposed to work hard, provide for my family, try to keep things together. But I quickly realized that checking these boxes just didn't bring the fulfillment that I crave. And I was hopping from job to job, each one feeling more disconnected from who I truly was. And it wasn't until I asked myself these hard questions about who I am, what am I created for, what I'm here to do, and what my responsibilities as a man. And that's when I discovered that living with a purpose isn't just about yourself, it's about the impact that you make on others. And there was a quote that I really love from Winston S. Churchill that says, "It's not enough to have lived. We should be determined to live for something." And that's the foundation of being a positive role model, um, living intentionally and inspiring others. So positive male role models are often accomplished for those around us. But the question is, how can we lead others if we don't know where we're going? So identity is the anchor and it's knowing who we truly are. And purpose will be the map. It's the understanding of what we're here to do. So when these come together, they are naturally becoming a guiding light for others. So you don't know, you can't take somebody where you ain't been. So if you don't know where you're going, how you going to be able to mentor somebody to take them where they need to go at? If that makes sense. So, for example, when I stepped into my purpose of helping men discover their identity, I found that I was no longer just chasing success. I was creating significance in the lives of others, and that's what makes a role model more powerful: their ability to live authentically and purposefully. And there's some traits that I wanted to share that can help you out in this. Um, artistic. Sometimes I can't say the word sometimes, right? Well, artistically, you can't inspire others by becoming someone you're not. As I said before, men who understand their identity will embrace their true selves. You got to have a purpose-driven leadership. You got to be a role model. You can't just live your life for yourself. You got to use that purpose to inspire others to discover their own. You got to have their resilience. You got to have that purpose. Your purpose got to provide strength during life's challenges, and it's got to show others how to raise up after a fall. And a key thing, which is service to others. Now, being a role model means pouring into others, whether it's through mentorship, family, or community, Um, Men today just face real challenges. We all face real challenges as men. And many of us feel like we're trapped by society's expectations, unsure of their identity, and others are stuck in our routines. We're living out without a sense of purpose. And we got to be honest, mentorship isn't as common as it should be. But it's the truth is every challenge is an opportunity to grow. And every man has the potential to be a role model. And once they clarify their identity and purpose. So when you define who you are and the pressure to perform the fades. When you live with purpose, you will wake up every day with a reason to push forward. And when you become a mentor, you will build a legacy that extends beyond your lifetime. So I hope that helps somebody at this time.
Beautiful, beautiful. To me, and I don't know if you're, I love what you said on this, Darren, because it's so powerful, and it reminded me of Samuel Johnson actually, and that gave me a very good instance of how to find and to not only to find but also to alleviate greater mans, and that quote is, "The true measure of a man is how he treats someone who can do him absolutely no good." When you think about the people that greet the waiters, that smile at the homeless person and welcome him. All these small gesture about people in which are service to you and therefore you want to be of service back to them is such a powerful way to actually not only better their life but also better your life. And it's always something that I think we ought to keep in mind. So thank you, Darren, for sharing some of those insights. Mads, I saw him prior in this call. Is Mads still with us?
Yes, if he finds the unmute button. I just turned off the camera since I look tired as hell at 1 a.m.
That's okay. That's okay. What matters is definitely your words, sir. So go for it.
Appreciate it, appreciate it. Well, I think the biggest thing when you're the mentor is you get to explain something to another person so they actually have to understand it, which requires a different level of understanding that you can only get through teaching or explaining something to someone else. It's just with the mentee side of things, there's no better person to ask than the person that walked the path, right?
Mm,
So that's true. The person walking in the path has what they need to know. That is true. They're the best person.
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's some truth to that. And Matt, perhaps in your experience, as a mentee of somebody else, what would you say some insights on how to find that person that is has already basically went into a path that you want to, let's say, discover?
I would first of all take a look within the people I've added as connections on social media. You probably have somebody in there you've spoken to at some point that knows something about something you would like to learn about. Most of us have 1,000, 2,000 different people if we look at the different platforms. The chances of there's nobody that can point you in the right direction is pretty goddamn slim. So if nobody comes to mind, I would definitely start there, just by going through the list of people that kind of said, yes, I want to speak to you.
Yes, interesting. So starting with your inner circle, I think that there's great novelty in that. Sometimes a mentor can be as simple as as a brother, a father, a mother, and anyone surrounding yourself. There's obviously fantastic mentors that can be thousands of miles away, which is also the beautiful thing. But definitely keeping it simple at first and finding that person that can be not showing you the role, but inspiring you to find your own, I think is
Yeah,
definitely the best way to put it. Anything else you'd like to share, Mads?
I can't think of anything now. But thanks for asking a brilliant question, getting me to think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 1 a.m. Where you are, so we will definitely pardon you and may you have I suppose a fantastic rest basically alongside us for the remaining of this event. Next on my list is Jacob. Is Jacob with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Hold on.
There he is. Jacob, would you like to share some of your insight as a mentor or mentee, please?
Yeah, hold on. I was outside in the rain, hit my camera. You know, insights on being a mentor and a mentee. I think the last person that spoke hit it pretty well on the head when he mentioned, being able to be a mentor or a mentee in any of our professions that we do requires a level of mastery, and being able to demonstrate that level of mastery, you're taught so many other things when you're teaching someone. Um, you kind of you're able to pick up on the mistakes that you might have not have learned. And I think that's really important. Obviously, as humans, we all make mistakes, and that's what we use to grow. I'm getting my little corner set up here. That's what we use to grow. Um, I think also there's just since this is a men's mental health podcast, we talk a lot about how a man needs a purpose in life, and being a mentor or mentee, especially maybe growing up when you didn't have that mentor or mentee, it provides that purpose, and it helps you not only find yourself but how you can best help others, and I think that's really important.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Jacob. And I want you to truly open up some of that of broader discussions to all the panel for the last perhaps about 10 minutes that we have. To circle back with you, Eric, one question I really want to ask you is you talked a lot about um, indirect or intangible, basically,
Yeah.
mentor that you had, which obviously names of the greatest minds, modern minds, which is fantastic. In your opinion, when you think about a relationship between a direct and indirect mentor, is there any difference in the purpose of seeking those? Or do you have any insights to share in the relationship of both of these, please?
Oh, brilliant question. I think it depends on the safety that we feel within the situation. Safety is huge because the space has to be free for me to explore, expand, and to receive. Right, and so these intangible mentors that I spoke of, they gave me permission to begin exploring internally in me, and from that, my shift and who I became offered those in real time in my work environment, in my personal environment. It's almost like I shifted my aura to don't come near me. I'm scared and I don't want any help to please come help me. And so
Mm.
this opened up the door to my greatest professional mentor. And she was my chief nursing officer at the time. And she gave me the ability to go through design thinking training. And I don't know if you know much about design thinking. I walked into this room, and this is the power of mentors who can see something in someone that I couldn't see in myself at the time. And she's like, I think I had no idea what this was. I walk in, and from the very moment we started, I reconnected with my 5, 6, 7 year old self and was like, let's freaking play because this is how I learn. This is how I create solutions. And this setup is made for me. And so that started my journey to, like I said, one of the greatest mentors. So she served that purpose. But to get there, Wayne Dyer taught me if I don't like what I'm seeing in my physical reality, change the way I look at things, and the things I look at will change. And
Mhm.
that gave me permission to see the other side of the coin and see the things that I was choosing to intentionally or unintentionally, consciously or unconsciously, not to see. And so to answer your question, man, I think they both have power. I can tap into the intangibles way easier because if it's 2 a.m., I can find a YouTube. I can find, like, with
All right.
technology, like I can do whatever. Right.
No, great answer. Great answer. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that. I love that. And education is known now so widely spread that, why not tapping into it and making the most of it? I think that's the bottom line. And and Bob, truly, and again, what you said connected to me directly because we seem to share, at least we definitely share Christ, whatever denomination you are, is completely yours, and I respect your decision to keep it somewhat private. To me, obviously John 14:6 is one that is the most famous, and definitely I think the most quote probably, which is I am the way, the truth, and life. No one comes to the Father except through me. When you think of you use this term, which is accepting Christ, which is very obviously powerful in your journey. Describe to me a little bit more about what is it to accept Christ, or perhaps your relationship with why you were denying it and then decide to perhaps pursue a life with Jesus.
Uh, I'm evangelical, so it wasn't that I was trying to hide what it was. I didn't want to speak ill of the religion that my kids had been raised in. Really wasn't part of. I was confused a lot by what was going on within that particular denomination. Then when I started going to the evangelical church, it was like, oh, this is what it's all about, and that's why I use the word accepted, because I believed there was a God for in my entire life, but it wasn't until when I was 48, 49 years old when I actually understood what it meant to have a relationship. And
Mhm.
that's where I accepted him and got baptized and went through that process and really understood what it was all about. And to that point, he was always this, up in the sky kind of, you
All
know,
right.
guy that answers prayers and things. But through my journey, what I have discovered is that he is right here, lives right in the center of my chest, in my heart, and in my soul. He's not out here. He's right here every day. And even today, we had a prayer retreat today, and just being able to sit and breathe and be able to feel his presence right there with me is just it's a power, it's a superpower that I wish I knew I had for the past few decades, because life probably would have been a heck of a lot different if I had known him like I know him now.
Mm, wow. Incredible. Thank you so much for that's very deep. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think a lot of people will get some insights off of that. Truly I think to me the journey to Christ or God, there's no timeline for that. Sometimes it will be at 48, sometimes it's at as early as birth for some, and it's just all about sharing and the generosity of love. So thank you so much. Darren, when you're thinking about, I know you're a public speaker, you're a mentor obviously of many. When you think about the importance of education as a mentor, can you tell me more about perhaps what you specialize in education wise, but also I suppose how you got yourself to have the belief to be able to have some mentees to even start with to empower this journey of, hey, I think what I have to say can empower others, so let me share it with the world.
I basically study the God's word and read the scriptures, and I just don't study scriptures, but I have to act on them, what I learn. It's a challenge every now and then, just to change your life around and everything like that. Because sometimes you look at the scriptures, you're like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not. But in order to be the person that you need to be, and I always say, we go through things in life, but when we go through things, we got to grow through them. You know what I mean? So it's basically you're not going to be exempt from challenges in life. You know what I mean? And once you learn how to um focus on helping yourself of going through the obstacles that you go through, you can always teach somebody else what you have learned. So I feel as though that's something real key. Like I said before, you can't teach somebody something that you haven't been through. So and that's like me telling my kids, oh, um you shouldn't be going outside for this reason, because I know what's going to happen out there. But I seen what happened out there, but I could tell them what's going to happen because I've been there. So it's the reason why I'm telling you not to go out there at this time of night, because something's going to happen, and I know something's going to happen by from the reports and then from things that I've seen or heard. So it's basically, that's I feel as though that is the number one key. And another key I feel as though is, once we find our identity as men and learn to but the Bible says in Genesis 1 26 to 1 to 27, we were made in his image. And once we begin to understand that and take heed to that, because we're understanding, there's everything happens when you begin to understand that, because that is the number one key. A lot of men do not know who they are. We got a lot of men that's going through life just wandering around, and they're taking concepts from different things they see in the world, but that's not the image that God made us in. He made us in a certain image with his characteristics and everything. So once we discover that, we can live and be better mentors, and to other people, and help them understand what it is to be truly to be a man of service.
Incredible, incredible. And that's all the time that we have for this specific mentorship panel discussion. I want to first of all thanks every single one of you. So obviously Eric, Bob, Darren, Mads, Jacob, thank you so much for sharing some words of wisdoms. Before I obviously leads to Linda and Michael for closing remarks on what has been a fantastic event. I just want to leave you with this note, which I think is a very powerful way to embrace your life. The purpose of life is to find your gift. The meaning of life is to give it away. And I think that with this mentality, life cannot be anything but meaningful and joyful, most importantly. So with that, I'll get back to Linda and Michael for closing remarks. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Sam, for leading that facilitated panel. All of the things that I heard were very meaningful, moving, and I'm sure that everyone on this call feels the same.